Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to VEGA Conflict. And it's time to show you how I farmed for the target. You've waited since, what, Tuesday? After I said I was going to release the video, and it's just taken so freaking long, there's like no excuse for it. But let's go ahead and let's jump right into the fleet I used, and right off the bat, like I said before, every time that I attacked it was a gamble because it's Pharmacon. Every time you use them in a fight, it's a gamble. Especially against a counter-faction. Well, in this case, not even a counter-faction, just a ship that is just overpowered because the overall state of Tier 8 is just extremely over-end. Over the top? I don't even know what I just said. Alright. What are the fittings of each of these ships, you may ask? Well, that's actually straightforward and easy. They're mostly blueprint items. Well, actually, they're all blueprint items. There's nothing on the second deck or anything like that. They're all just sitting out like that. And the reason that the attack was a chance was because of how I was performing it. The Mark IIIs, the only difference is they don't have armor. So they would be more susceptible to taking damage, and their damage to repair ratio would be vastly different. And using Victoria Onin or Cobus would be the best choice. Just because of the health bonus, but I'd prefer using Cobus in this case because of the increased damage as well. But, well, I don't have him maxed out because I just don't. I'm not going to put that much time in when I max out another one. So, what exactly was the target? Well, it was actually the Umbral Infestor 120. And it's what you're all going to see. I just need to make sure the fleet is in the line formation still. And let's go ahead and let's hop on out and find a target. And here we are for the target. Make sure the AI is on, and you're going to want to watch the positioning of certain ships. Once you're all done, select all your ships, make sure each one of them is targeting a Valraven. Now, pay attention to where each of the battleships are in correlation to the approach of the correct operator. If they are blocked from a fight, you will need to bypass the battleship entirely, because if not, they will not be able to hit the target. And you want them to destroy the Valravens instantly, leave them in the fight, then pull back. Now, the repair values are so inconsistent that I'm not going to even list them. Because as you can see, 4% damage for that one strike. And that was a successful strike, and that's about 20 minutes repair time. And in other fights against the same target using the same tactic, that value was essentially negligible. It was so non-existent that more often than not I was getting lucky. And a faction shouldn't get lucky to be useful, because that's like flipping a coin and then saying I'm better than you. Because it's just that. It's a flip of the coin. So, now we're taking away the, I wouldn't say effort, but we're performing the hit and run that Pharmacon should be known for, but they're not really known for because of how their current phase state is. They're more known right now as the punching bag, because they don't really have anything novel going for them. They just exist in the same time and space as the Altarians. And the Umbral. And, well, in terms of usability, versatility, and farmability, Pharmacon is currently the lowest because of their current phase state. First off, it drains far too quickly for it to be extremely reliable for the lower tiers of the Pharmacon, which is Tier 7. The phase pool, while on paper, was a good idea to help balance them. However, the values are too low for them to be extremely viable against anything of their own tier. And that is extremely true if you use Pharmacon of Tier 7 against Tier 7 content. Their recharge values they're garbage. They're trash. You can't really regenerate while you're in the fight, so hit and run isn't an option. It's a matter of you need to game, you need to kill the target immediately. And I'll do a full video on it later, talking about exactly my thoughts are and exactly how I see it being fixed. Just like when I called the Altarians trash in a video and then proceeded to list off why each and every single one of their ships was weak, and then proceeded to suggest ways to fix them. And instead, Pharmacon got nerfed to make them balanced, but their nerf turned them into Well, I've called them trash, and nothing is worse than that. Well, there are a few things, but keeping it friendly for the channel, not kid-friendly, because I honestly don't want kids playing this game. Anyone need a hint at why? Well, it's pretty easy, especially with giant freaking robot chicks. Oh, that screenshot will be at the end of the video, trust me. But that's all there is to the target. Let's go ahead and let's head back to the base for a minute. Alright. That was the attack, and as I said, it's a gamble. Sometimes I take 1% damage and it's free repairs across the board. Sometimes I take more, as you saw. Let's go ahead and let's wait to see what the gamble was this time. 33 minutes repair time in total, and the easiest way to break it up is just go like this, pull the ships apart, and see exactly what got what damage-wise and what needs to be repaired. But it shouldn't be a gamble with the Pharmacon like that. If they were going to be nerfed so heavily, there should have been ways that they could have still been viable, but their phase charge value is far too low. The pool is too small at that, and to put it in comparison, if I were to compare each of these ships' defense values, all of my Umbral ships have around the value of the entirety of a pool of phase, and that's for all your ships. Where's the Behemoth? 40,000, it's got built-in ablative, it's garbage, and you've got 67,000. So you got 27,000 up with 2 ships in the fleet. So that's... it's a, what? 63 or 66% increase? And that isn't enough because it drains at 10% per second because they have 10 seconds in phase, but due to the size of the pool and the damage values, well, it feels like it's a lot smaller than that because you get hit and it just drops like a rock, especially against Valravens or anything like that. So, why I didn't recommend using the Pharmacon, the Dreadnought, to farm the Leviathan targets is because I did test it, and the repair time was so inconsistent that in one fight I could just rush the target and take 12 minutes repair time because I managed to kill off most of the Valravens quickly, while in another fight they just blew the drones out of the sky before they ever had a chance to be useful, and I was never actually able to close in on the target and do any major damage. Because they would force the ship itself out of phase, hold it out of phase, and just pummel it, and it really couldn't do anything in return because, again, poor phase values. So the recommended ship type for this is actually... it's going to be the Valravens. And Elite's going to be your best bet. Now, that's not what you want to hear, but, well, they missed the mark by miles with the target balancing. And I'm not going to say I'm sorry because I don't associate myself with the development team. I don't actively sit there programming for them and things like that. So this was on them. If you want to blame anyone, you can tell them, but again, keep it civil, guys, because they're still human beings just like the rest of us. And if they're trying to make money this way, well, I'm glad I don't support the game because... well, to put it simply, I can alt-tab out right now and I could be in a total annihilation game. Just like that. But with the Pharmacon as they are now, well, I'm glad I didn't build an overly large number of them. And most of them that I did build are either blank or cheap little fittings that were meant for stupid ideas but never came to fruition. I just kind of dumped them. That's it. That's really all there is to talk about when it comes to this video, because the recommended targets, they're Umbral fleets to the core, but you're not going to want to use Pharmacon. You're going to want to use Elite Valravens to farm it quickly, or an Elite Orator as well as Zealots if you have them, because it was extremely greatly put to use against them because of just how much more powerful it is. To put it in comparison, the Altarians are still trash. Except for now, the Pharmacon is the new trash. So, shield value of the Orator, 111,000 with Tatiana. Screen value of the entirety of this pool, 75,000. 75,000 with a charge value of 12,000 and basically 500. That charge value is so low that the ship itself, DPS wise, without accounting for the dual firing arc, it can force itself out of phase and keep it out of phase. That's how poor the charge value is. And if anyone says just use the phase charge buffers, well, you decrease your time in phase and you're going to be out of phase more easily, and the tiny mediocre charge values you get aren't really worth it, especially when you need to use 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or more specials just to increase your phase value. Well, not your phase value, the charge value. And all the while you're increasing your gain rate, so the more charge you have, the less time you have in phase, and if you're trying to get to the target, well, the pools are already so small, well, you're just decreasing your value and you're just hitting yourself at that point. But I'm going to stop talking your ears off. I'm going to go ahead and take care of what I need to, but that is the Infestor target, the way I did it, and like I said, it's a gamble. It's a roll of dice every time. Sometimes you take 1% damage, sometimes you lose the majority of a ship because the Valravens randomly change the target, and that was one thing I saw as being inconsistent. And the number of targets in the fleet, it's disgusting. It's the best way to put it. But if any of you have any other suggested ship types to farm the targets with other than Elite Valravens or an Orator, go ahead and say so below in the comment section, because I'm sure a lot of people would be highly interested in that and it would help them advance. Speaking of which, I got something planned for very soon, so stay tuned. But that's going to be it for now. Be safe out in the void, happy hunting, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.